Alright, for today's video review, we're going to be taking a look at Transformers Age of Extinction Snarl, who's, yeah, an okay figure. I'd say out of the three Age of Extinction Dinobots that I have, Snarl is my least favorite. He's got a pretty good looking Stegosaurus mode, but I'm not a huge fan of the robot mode, which we'll get into. But yeah, he's a decent looking Stegosaurus. There's a few things I'm not a huge fan of, like I don't love that the robot mode hands are just kind of sticking out of the back here, but other than that, I think he looks fairly decent. Now, he does come with sort of two weapons, which are, really one weapon that splits into two bits. One of them just becomes the end of the tail here. It's just tabbed on between these pieces. And then the other one, which is like the axe head for his like robot mode weapon, just kind of hangs out here. And what you're supposed to do is you fold it up like this, and then it's got a tab right here that can fit sort of in between the slots right here, which is not a super tight connection, and you can kind of squeeze this back together to make it a little bit tighter, but it gives him extra like fins on the back, which I just think looks super stupid. I've never liked the way this looks, and it's also like super floppy on there, which I also don't love. So personally, I kind of just leave this off to the side and just like give him the tail as a weapon. But yeah, at least there's some effort towards integrating it in, but I just think it doesn't really work to that effect. But yeah, in terms of articulation, the head can kind of tilt up and down like that. He also has an opening jaw here, and then the whole head can tilt down like that as well. Can't tilt side to side, really. The front shoulders here, or hips, I guess, are on ball joints, so you can rotate them around like that. And then he's got a hinge at the knee here, but nothing at the foot. And then the back legs here have a swivel right here. These become the shoulders in robot mode, but they're kind of like locked in this mode, so you can't really bring them out to the side. And then the knee can also bend forward and back like that, though because the hips are kind of locked into place, there's not really a whole lot of use to that, but that's fine. In terms of comparisons in this mode, just for the standard one, here he is with Kingdom Sideswipe there. Here he is with Studio Series Snarl, obviously, much more G1 inspired. So he's got like the beefier kind of chunky Triceratops, Stegosaurus mode, but that's what two of them look like together. And then here he is with Age of Extinction Scorn for another AOE Dinobot there, so you can see what the two of them look like together. And yeah, to get onto transformation, first thing we want to do is just split the tail here so you can take the other part of the weapon and just put it off to the side. And then these bits will flip forward, and then, well, actually, I think, yeah, you want to bring the shoulders out first, and then you kind of like rotate this bit up so it matches up with this this slot here, and then that'll tab into the back of the arms there. And we can do that on both sides here, just like that. Then what do we want to do? We want to split the whole front section here, and it will it tabs into the body up here. So you just want to untab those sections, take the entire waist section and just flip it up and click it into place there. And then just straighten out the knees here. You can see he's got a fake second dinosaur head, so that when you rotate this one to the inside, it's a bit more symmetrical, which I think is really dumb, especially because it's not symmetrical because this one's not painted, but also like he wouldn't have two dinosaur heads on the inside of his, I don't know. It's a very, very strange bit of cheating to me, but whatever, if you could even call it that. But yeah, then you flip down the feet here from the back. I believe that the dinosaur legs, you just kind of end up like folding onto the side of the legs. There's no real like super meaningful dedicated place for them to go. Then you can take this whole section here and fold it to the back, which allows you to flip out his head. And then you can take these sections here and just fold them out to the side. They sort of bump into this. And then you can rotate the arms. You kind of have to rotate them like this, so they're sort of gorilla armed, because then you take the hands on the back of the feet and just rotate them forward like this, which gives him kind of a curl to his arms. And his arms are definitely my least favorite part about this this whole robot mode, but there we have Snarl in his robot mode. And yeah, in terms of articulation, I'll get to the arms in a sec. The head is on a ball joint. It's a neat looking head sculpt. It doesn't really look, anything evoking Snarl to me, but as just a different robot, it's kind kind of a neat looking head sculpt. The shoulders here on swivels, they take these bits of the tail with them, and they can also hinge out to the side. He has a bicep swivel, and then he does have a deep elbow bend, but unfortunately it kind of has to be like the gorilla arm curl, because if you rotate the hands forward, they're still bent in like this, even more so his hands are just like sticking straight forward out of his arms. So it's, I get what they're trying to do with the like angle here, but like I don't know, it's just so clunky, and like you know, it really locks you into the gorilla arm thing, which is just a terrible feature on any transformer to have only, you know, the gorilla arm elbows. I also, you know, when you move the arms around, they really do bump into these pieces quite a bit, which is also annoying. Nothing at the waist. I mean, I guess technically if you unlock this, you do sort of have like an ab crunch. I'm trying to, yeah, do this without pinching my fingers, because there's a lot of just sharp edges on this guy that make it kind of unpleasant to mess around with. The hips can go forward and back and up to the side, only about that far. They're just on ball joints. He's got a thigh swivel there, a little over 90 degrees of bend at the knee, and then the feet can tilt forward and back, and they just have a slight sculpt to them to be in that sort of like slight A stance. So, you know, aside from the arms, decent articulation, but the arms really do kind of like wreck the whole figure for me. It's just like very clunky, and especially like since his arms are so limited by, you know, where you can pose these without bumping into the back fins too, just makes it extra annoying. To do his weapon, basically what you're supposed to do is take this section here, and it will there's some weird way that you do it. Yeah, I think it tabs in this way, and then there's this little slot here that goes up into the thing like that. So you kind of have to, you know, work this into his hand, and then you can slide it up, because he's got this one section here that's thinner, so it can actually, you know, fit around his fingers. And there you have his axe, which is kind of a cool looking weapon. I think that it's, you know, very difficult for him to hold it in a cool looking way just because of how his arms work, but it's neat. But, you know, for me, personally, I leave it without this bit just because this doesn't store in a way that I like in alt mode. So I just kind of have him hold this as a weapon, and that's, you know, fine with me. He does kind of have to hold it like down and weird like this, but it looks bad no matter what. I don't know. And it doesn't really have any like meaningful place to store either. I guess you can kind of just like loop it in the back here and call it a day, but you know, again, just a little bit clunky. I hate, you know, I'm sure that one of these clear plastic pieces is going to break eventually, since they have to just like brush past each other all the time. But yeah, you know, he's got a good look, but the articulation is a little bit limited just in terms of how much kibble he has and the way that the elbows work. But yeah, in terms of comparisons in this mode, here he is again with side swipes. So you can see kind of an average size deluxe. They're a little bit bigger than he is. Here he is again with Studio Series Snarl, just so you can see obviously very different aesthetics there. But that's what the two of them look like together. And then last but not least, here he is again with Scorn and his ridiculously floppy legs. But yeah, you know, even, I mean, obviously the floppy legs are a huge issue on him. But when those are tightened up, he's just, I think, a much more enjoyable figure generally than Snarl in terms of like the posability and functionality of him. He's not an awful figure. I think that really the main sticking point is the elbows. Like, I think that the dumb little extra head on the inside of the leg is stupid, but it's not like a deal breaker or anything. Whereas the arms are, oof, just really kind of horrible. It makes enjoying this figure very difficult. But he does have a nice looking Stegosaurus mode, so there's something to that. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to him. If you enjoy my videos, make sure to leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel. I do reviews every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. And without further ado, here we have Transformers Age of Extinction Snarl.